It is fantasy football season, and trying to decide how to approach your draft, it can be a massive headache. In this series, I'm going draft slot by draft slot, talking over what you can expect to see from your draft position, what strategies you can use, which players you might want to take, and which players you might want to avoid. We'll touch on the sleepers available later on, and we'll even run through a super quick mock draft so you can see exactly how I would draft from each position. In this video, we're drafting from the 102. These are the players that you can expect to see from the 102. Christian McCaffrey, still the 101 consensus despite the calf injury. The case for CMC's upside, it's so straightforward with him averaging 24 PPR points last year. That's a year after finishing as the RB2 with 21 points per game. Ever since CMC was traded to the Niners, he's averaged 4.5 receptions per game and 16.5 rush attempts per game. But it's hard to ignore that CMC has stayed remarkably healthy since that trade, until now where he's missing a couple of weeks with a calf strain. That's the type of lower body injury that's plagued CMC at times throughout his career. And you have to decide whether you're willing to take a player dealing with an injury already, or whether you're just willing to bet on a player who is a known difference maker. CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys, they were so poor to start the 2023 season, but then everything changed at the bye week in week 7. Lamb had been the PPR wide receiver 24 before that point, scoring 14.9 points per game. And then after the bye week, he completely dominated across the back half of the season. Lamb averaged 28 points per game the rest of the way, 6.9 more than the next closest wide receiver. Lamb, he was a certified league winner. And the Cowboys, they've done nothing to reinforce this wide receiver room this offseason. Lamb can absolutely dominate target share again. Tyreek Hill absolutely dominated with 9 top 5 weekly finishes in PPR leagues last year. But then he ended the year with 3 bad finishes that ranked him as the wide receiver 36, the wide receiver 16, and wide receiver 28. That absolutely crushed you if you were a fantasy manager with Tyreek Hill on your team. But this Miami team, they dominated on the ground in 2023. Raheem Mostert's 19 touchdowns. It doesn't seem likely to repeat. The Miami defense has also definitely taken a step back in terms of quality, so the offense should be pushed more into more pass-heavy game scripts, and that's great news for Tyreek Hill. At the 102, there's one player I can't bring myself to click. Justin Jefferson. Despite only playing 10 games in 2023, Justin Jefferson still managed to put up 1,000 yards, but it felt like a disappointing season for him because he was the consensus 101 in most fantasy formats. Yes, he put up numbers with Josh Dobbs and a bunch of other random quarterbacks, but the Vikings QB situation could be bad again with Sam Darnold set to be the quarterback this year. When was the last time that Sam Darnold looked good? You've really got to scrape a barrel to come up with a convincing argument for him. And with TJ Hawkinson missing time, Jordan Addison potentially getting suspended at some point, defenses will really be able to key in on Justin Jefferson. We're going to use Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard to mock draft. It is insanely customizable. You can sync it to your leagues and automatically copy the settings in. Then it'll adjust the rankings for that. You can choose which expert rankings and insights you'd like to see, including mine, which are part of the expert consensus rankings of over 100 people from across the fantasy football industry. There's no waiting around for other people. Nobody taking 6 kickers in the mock draft. Instead, we can mock draft against the Wizard, get feedback from top experts on our drafts. Check out the link in the description below to start your own mock drafts right now. If you are finding our videos for the first time, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button down below. We are ever so close to 3,000 subscribers. Here we do Dynasty, we do Best Ball, we do Redraft, we do DFS. We get you cooking all year long. With this draft, we're going 12 teams, half PPR, picking out of a 102, obviously. We've got quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex position, and then 6 bench spots. We can see here that CMC has gone at the 101 spot. 62% of experts say CeeDee Lamb's the pick, and that's exactly where I'm going. As the draft unfolds and comes back to us, you can see Breece Hall goes 104, Bijan Robinson 106, Jahmyr Gibbs 108. The running back variance is going to be massive. For me, here, this feels like a good spot to double down and get another wide receiver, though, before we start looking at the running backs. I'm going to take Deebo Samuel. He was more productive than Brandon Ayuk last year. Brandon Ayuk's offseason hasn't been particularly good for him. Then in the 3rd round, let's draft Isaiah Pacheco, who could have a monster workload this year. Tight end run happens. Mark Andrews, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, and Travis Kelce all go. First few quarterbacks are off the board. I'll take DJ Moore here. I think that he has a clear path to be the Bears wide receiver 1. In best ball drafts, I prefer Keenan Allen at a cheaper cost, but here in redraft, I'm very much good with it. Now, running backs are going to start to dry up very quickly here. I do not want to get left behind. So let's take Alvin Kamara, who's got Kendre Miller behind him, but hasn't managed to practice all offseason, and then Jamal Williams, who's in his 30s and looks like he might be toast. The draft comes back around to us, and I'm taking Christian Kirk here. 75% of experts reckon we should be going with Joe Burrow, but I can't bring myself to do it. Maybe the team on the turn will do it, but right now I want another wide receiver. Joe Burrow and George Kittle do go. I'm okay with that. We played the risk, and I'm fine with it, because now we can take Dak Prescott, stacking him up with CD Lamb. Stacking in redraft is a lot less important than it is in best ball, but if we're making a bet on CD Lamb to pay off his ADP, Dak Prescott's probably going to pay off his ADP as well. At the back end of the 8th round, Dalton Kincaid's really appealing, but the team on the turn, they already have George Kittle, so let's push it one pick more, see if we can get away with it. I'm not taking Austin Eckler, but I don't mind Zeke Elliott. He might be a bit old and he might be a bit dusty, but he's going to get a lot of volume in this Cowboys offense. Dalton Kincaid makes it back to us, and we played that perfectly. This is the benefit of the mock draft. It allows you to see whether you get away with stuff like that. In the 10th round, we've only got 3 running backs. We do have 4 wide receivers, so let's add another running back. Ty Chandler looks like he could be very much in the mix and eat into Aaron Jones' workload there. We'll take Tyler Algier as well. Now we've got ourselves 5 running backs, and we can really just concentrate on the wide receiver position, take any luxury picks that we feel we need to. At wide receiver, Gabe Davis, Jahan Dotson, Dontavian Wicks. It's a lot of question marks here, but I like Jahan Dotson to bounce back with Jaden Daniels, a player who will be able to force the ball to the wide receivers in Washington far better than Sam Howell was able to last year. Ray Davis, you are our last running back. I didn't want another running back, but Ray Davis has a real chance to steal a lot of the goal line work in Buffalo. Last 2 picks, time to take a defense, time to take a kicker. Let's take the Eagles defense. They've looked to make some upgrades there this year, and I think they can be better than last year. Then Harrison Butker falls to us at the 1502. That rounds out our draft. We got an A, 95 out of 100, consensus of 107 different experts. Diving deeper into the analysis, you can see that what if here, if we drafted Terry McLaurin at the 7-2 and drafted a QB later, your score could have been 40 points higher. So even though we had 750 and beat everybody in this draft, we could have even got better. And that's the benefit of doing these drafts. We get to just try things out, see what works out, see what projects us better. What would you have done differently from the 102? Leave me a comment, let me know. We answer every single question and comment on this channel. If you want to check out more of our redraft content, go and watch this video with Heath Cummings from CBS, where we talk about undervalued and overvalued quarterbacks.